Okay, so here we are with a second interview in our Meet Your Expert series, and I am so thrilled today to be here with Elaine, who's going to be talking to us about video game addiction and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So Elaine, I'm just going to ask you first if you would introduce yourself and tell the parents and caregiver viewers what you do and how you got started doing it.
Well, thanks for having me, Elizabeth. And my name is Elaine Uskoski, and I am an author, speaker, and coach for video gaming addiction. For 18 years, I was a holistic health practitioner and coaching people through their health. And now I'm coaching parents on how to get their children from the virtual world back into the tangible world when they've become compulsively obsessed with video gaming.
And so you said you're an author. So what was the book that you wrote? What was it about?
So the book is called Seeing Through the Cracks, and I wrote that when both of my sons were early adult years, because I found 0 to 18 much easier for parenting than when they became adults.
Oh,
I
no,
suddenly realized.
Oh no, my boys are 10 and 13. Oh.
Well, it's so easy from 0 to 18 when you think about it in terms of relationship, because they fit into your world. And
True.
Then they turn 18. And as a parent, you have to take a step back and start to look to see how you now are going to fit into their world. Mm-hmm. And they don't really give you a lot of guidance because they're so busy trying to still break ground and figure out who they are. And the last thing they need is to, hold mom's hand through the transition and teach her what her role is. So there's this period of, my friends all call it this limbo period, where we feel like we're, walking on thin ice because we're not sure what we're allowed to ask about. Right. We can't jump in and advise anymore if it's not warranted. And you're not sure, are you parent? Are you friend? So I wanted to write a book about that transition and maybe start an online forum so parents could help each other through it. What worked for you, what didn't. And in the midst of my research for writing the book, we discovered that my second born child had a video gaming addiction. He was in full-blown crises while away at university, and he had literally not gone to classes for 2 full months. He was gaming all night until he would pass out, and then he would sleep all day. He had not been grooming or eating much. He weighed 127 pounds, and he's a 6'2" guy. And he looked pretty frightening. It was, he looked like a homeless man, really, and he had tremors and facial tics, and so he was in extreme crises and needed help. And so I had to roll up my sleeves and figure out how to parent my 19-year-old son in crises.
And so that is what led you to become an expert now on video gaming addiction. Right. And being able to use your story to help other parents and caregivers.
Yes, and someone from the University of Toronto who was organizing Mindfest had read my book and said, hey, you talk about video gaming addiction and no one was talking about it at that point. Would you be willing to start? And then, the doors opened up from there, and I realized that there's a huge need.
Yeah, there really is. And I mean, even though you yourself say that your son was in crisis mode, which is, I believe, what we would say for the World Health Organization, what they have defined gaming disorder addiction to be, your son showed those characteristics. I just have so many parents who say things like, oh, my child is addicted, they didn't come in when you called them, or, my child is addicted, they don't get off the phone when you say to. And so what have you found that can help parents really understand when it's crisis and when it's problematic use or just too much? What kind of things can help them?
So when a child or an adult child has stopped living, stopped engaging in life, and the gaming becomes everything for them. They're not going to school anymore. They're not working. They're not engaging in other social activities. They're not engaging in family activities. They've stopped grooming. they're either overeating and eating junk food while they're at the gaming console, or they're not eating at all. When it starts affecting their mental and their physical health, then we look at it as an addiction issue.
Right. Okay. No, I just think it's so necessary, especially when, these games are exciting, and they are never ending and the colorful, and you have, money to purchase to keep you going, to buy the different skin, to get to the next level. And I do see it with my boys. I mean, I played with them like, oh, mommy, just one more game, or let me just get one more kill. And it always sounds crazy when I'm explaining things like that. But I do think that when they're younger, as mine are, that it's, gosh, you just nailed it by saying it's easier because they're younger. And it's true
Right.
that, I can take it away. They don't have a gaming console. They have, tablets and smaller things that's like, okay, time's up, it's gone.
Right.
As opposed to, a 17 or 18-year-old on their own in a dorm room, able to take care of their own schedule.
Right. Right.
So
Well, I am hearing even from parents who have, 13 to 17-year-olds that are living in their homes, and sometimes they're quite large, they almost look like men. And the gaming addiction starts to affect their emotional stability, and parents become quite frightened of their own children. They're afraid that they'll become either despondent and suicidal, or that they'll become quite volatile and violent if they take it away.
And so then
So
for me, that's just perfect, because I think that the majority of people in my Facebook community have children who are under 18. So then what is it that you are advising? Where can they get more resources to hear about things like this, and how to help them with their children from those ages?
I mean, my first piece of advice is to keep the consoles out of the bedroom. That gaming and any activity on screen should not be this private, secret world, that should be out in a central location in the home. And you should talk to your children about what they're playing and what friends they're making, because there are two mindsets that come to video gaming when it's in excess. There's those who are taking life skills that they will learn from gaming, and those transplant to their real life. And then there are those who are escaping emotional pain and looking for online friendships because perhaps they're not making good friends in their tangible life. So having conversations, playing the game with your child if you can, talking about the problem solving process, just to try to get a sense of what mindset they are bringing, and talk to them about why friendships online are more important than friendships outside of gaming.
I, I
And ask about their character, because you can learn a lot about what your child's struggling with when you learn about the character they've created in the game.
Yeah, no, I just think that those last two tips especially are really, really empowering, because I know I play with my own boys. I play Fortnite with them, and things like this in Minecraft. And it is really true that you are able to, get a sense of their network and who they're playing with when other
Right.
friends pop in, and I can see that they really are all playing together. And, mommy, can I chat with this friend at the same time? And so I get that, but it is very interesting. I never really thought about it that way, that because they're always gaming together, that they are still networking and keeping up those friendships.
Right.
The other thing that I also thought was super interesting was about the avatar. It's very true that when you can pick your character and you pick certain skills, you can get an idea of where they are. So I'm going to take that back and use that with my own children. So I think that's a great tip for some of our parents. And I would also say then, I think you pretty much gave me 2 or 3 top tips, but I would also say, ask, what is it that you would say to reassure some of our parents in the group, our parents and caregivers, that that to some video games, it's okay. Playing a little while is fine, or not. I'm asking you, what is your expert opinion?
I would say if your child's grades are good, they're still engaging in family activities, they're still looking for recreational activities and have friendships outside of gaming, that their health, physical and mental health is good, then you're doing the right thing as parents, and you're regulating it enough, and your child's not having a need to be compulsive about it. Anything outside of that, then we start looking at what kind of changes do we need to make with regulation and gaming.
I think that that is amazing, because what you've just said for gaming, that is the same thing that we came up with in, oh, I think maybe it was 2017, 2018 at the London School of Economics. We were looking at, it was a policy brief on how much screen time is acceptable. And this was just screen time in general. And it was really those same points to tick off. Is your child healthy? Are they eating well? Do they have friends?
Right.
Are they sleeping well? Are they getting good grades? Are they
Yeah.
socializing? And it's just amazing how, just, I don't want to say common sense, but just kind of using a bit of common sense to see if your child is healthy and engaging elsewhere can really be beneficial. I think that sometimes for us as digital parents, we kind of get lost in all the technology and the devices and the social media, and we're just so caught up with it that we're not realizing that, that underlying sense of well-being is just, just as simple as it always was before those devices existed. So thank
Right.
you so much for kind of bringing it all in. So I have another question, though. I know that you're up near Toronto.
Yes.
What can the parents and caregivers and everybody else that are in our community, where can they go to hear more from you? I know that you have a book, uh,
Yes.
and I know that you do some coaching. Can you tell them, where to find you to get more, Elaine?
So they can find me on my website, which is www.elaineuskoski.com. I don't know if you're going to be putting that in post, because that's quite a mouthful to you.
I will put it in a post. I will.
I'm speaking in schools around the Guelph and Toronto area, and I'm doing online coaching, and so that can reach internationally. They can contact me for a 15-minute free consult about the coaching.
Yes.
And of course, my book is available at Amazon, which is also on the site.
Okay. Now, are you going to update this book to be more specific on gaming addiction?
I did add at the end of the book, I updated to create an update on, because I do speak quite a bit about the journey of the addiction in the book. And then I did an add-on at the end to say where my son is at now. I'm
Okay.
happy to say he's 2.5 years fully detoxed from gaming. He did finish his degree. He is working and living on his own in Toronto. So, and he speaks sometimes with me. So he's
Oh, that's
doing
fantastic.
very well now. Yes.
That's really encouraging. That's a success story that we
Yes.
like to hear. Well, I'm just going to give you my little unsolicited advice. Please write the book for the 10 to, let's say, 16-year-olds. Write that for those parents, for parents like me, because it would just be so great to have, even if you just pulled out the excerpts and just say digital parenting for.
I think parents of those children's ages can get a lot out of the book. I've had a number of parents of younger children read it, because I do in the book talk about his journey from childhood on, and the reason that he became addicted, because there's always some kind of core emotional issue. So I do talk about the journey and the things that I missed as a parent.
Oh, excellent. Perfect. Then you don't have to write anything more.
Thank you. It's a hard, long task.
Exactly. No, I'm just saying we want great resources, and you have it. So we will pick up that book. And
I do have a resource page on my website as well, where I do talk about other books and other resources for parents. There's a full resource page there.
Excellent. I think what I'll do then too is I will take that, download it to a PDF, and put that into the community, so that way in my file section, so people know where to find you and get more resources. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for staying with us and listening. I hope that you found it as useful as I did. And just stay tuned for the next in our series. Bye-bye.